Here's extending a very warm welcome to all of you joining us here on what is an extremely special episode of the Star Sports Press Room. It's now a regular feature on our network where we give access through this platform to all our wonderful friends from different media houses to have a chat with legends of the game or those who are involved with this edition of the Tata IPL. But today is extra special because joining us from the Royals camp from Rajasthan is cricketing royalty himself. Somebody who needs absolutely no introduction because he's got the greatest of credentials, whether it's as a player, a captain or as a coach. Only fair for me to welcome Mr. Rahul Dravid, our legend, joining me on the big screen on the right, looking in the pink of health, as we're all hoping. Not just this jersey, a big broad smile on the face. Rahul bhai, welcome to the Star Sports Press Room. How are you doing?
Thanks, Jatin. Lovely to be here. Yeah, getting better, getting there. So it's good. Yeah, really looking forward to this. It's been pretty hectic. It's been quite busy this season, but it's been also fun as well.
Yeah, let me also introduce the stakeholders of this show. Everybody to my left, these are our friends who will be joining us from different media outlets, publications, and other news sources. So a big welcome to all our friends from the media. Let me throw down the gauntlet and begin by asking first up, Rahul bhai, how is your personal recovery from injury, given you had to break into an impromptu celebration from the dugout the other day? Something that was more emotive than what we've seen you on the field, whether it was the Test hundreds, the double hundreds, or India winning the T20 World Cup. This celebration was special. How's it feeling after that?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was a special night, and obviously, just to see the young man, obviously perform well and do well, which is, of course, what we would like for him personally and as a team as well. But then to be able to, just get to that 100 and get there, it was a special. So a lot of it was just spontaneous, really. You don't think about these things. But yeah, the good thing is that at this stage, my leg is getting better and I'm able to actually put a little bit more weight on through the leg. So that allowed me to probably walk around and jump around a little bit, which that innings and that performance deserved.
Rahul bhai, I'm sure you're so tired and annoyed of almost everyone asking you more about Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, but I'm going to take the risk of diving a little bit deeper. Just tell us about the very first time when you heard of his name. That's before the auction, your first interaction with him. Was it through some videos that you'd seen, or was it at the trials? Just take us back into time, your first tryst with Vaibhav Sooryavanshi.
I think I'd heard about him through the under-19 and the NCA system. To be honest, I think he'd been playing in the under-19 sort of India team even before the auction. So his name honestly was doing the rounds. It's not that it wasn't doing the rounds. So I think he was recognized as someone who had quite a bit of talent. For almost a year, I think people had been talking about him. But I think we got to see him in our trials. I think he came to our trials at the back end of the trials. And he came only for a day. But I think we were really happy with what we saw, very impressed with what we saw. Could see that there's potential. And really just for us to be able to then have that confidence that, we could pick him. And then use the few months after the auction really to help him grow as a cricketer and give him the quality of practice that probably would be required to be able to play at this level, and then integrate him into the system and get him a chance to see what it's like in the IPL and not push him in straight away, but just take a little bit of time with it. And then once the opportunity came up with Sanju's injury, we were pretty confident that he's playing well. Nobody can predict how well someone would do. But we certainly felt confident that he'd worked really hard. He'd practiced really hard. He'd been around a few IPL games. He knew what the vibe was. He knew what the atmosphere was like. He got quite comfortable in and around our team and the senior players. So we felt pretty confident blooding him in, and glad that, he started well.
Rahul bhai, before I open the floor to the media, and please expect a lot of questions, not just on the season and the others, but on Vaibhav Sooryavanshi. Just want you to sort of put this into perspective, because there are so many different elements to this knock. One is the sheer audacity of a 14-year-old taking on one of the best attacks in the IPL. There's the batting side of it. There's a power side of it. But the mindset and the maturity of it, it almost you get a feeling that he's way more mature than a 14-year-old. How have you put this knock into perspective? What is the most wow thing about this for you?
Yeah, I think for me, really, it's just ability of him to have that level of fearlessness and not get phased um, by the occasion or what was happening around him. I think that's something that's truly special. You don't really get to see that with people who are so young. And I think, the range of shots as well that he showed. So he's not, not someone, and I think he's only going to develop and he's only going to get better. Nobody is saying he's a finished article. And I think, that's one thing I would definitely like to say, that, he's going to have to keep working hard on his game. He's going to have to keep developing. Of course, he has time. No one should be in any rush to, proclaim him as something that he's not. He is what he is. He's an exceptionally talented young player who's working really hard, who's got some great skills and abilities. But he's going to have to keep improving. He's going to have to keep getting better. Teams are going to be smarter against him. And he's going to go through his share of ups and downs. I mean, just the nature of this T20 format is such that he's going to have some games where it's not going to work out. I think from our side, we really encouraged him to play in a way that he enjoys playing and he likes playing, which is taking the game on. And we've told him to be himself and try and play the way he wants to play. I think that's really, really important, that we allow him to express himself, as a young man. And sure, I mean, surely as he goes on expressing himself, there are lessons he'll learn, there are mistakes he'll make, and he'll refine himself and he'll mold himself, as time goes on. But as of now, really, from our side, it's more about just have some fun, enjoy yourself, and just soak in everything.
It'll be a very good question to ask Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, because he wasn't really born when this legend over here was out there on the field, creating history for India. But the admiration has trickled through. Rahul bhai, we did have a chat with Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, and we asked him about the impact that you've had on his game in the last few months. Here is what he had to say.
5 महीने से मैं उनके साथ प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ, मैचेस भी हुए प्रैक्टिस मैचेस, तो मतलब सर वो कॉन्फिडेंस देते रहते हैं कि तू ग्राउंड पे जाएगा तो अच्छा करेगा, मुझे बिलीव है क्योंकि मैंने तुझे देखा हूँ, मैं तुमको ग्राउंड पे देखा हूँ कि तू अच्छा कर सकता है, इसलिए तुम्हें हम चांस दे रहे हैं। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि एज है, ये है, वो है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। सर ने बोला मुझे कि हमें बिलीव है कि तुम अच्छा करोगे, तुम रेडी हो, इसलिए हम तुम्हें मौका देंगे और तुम अच्छा करोगे, ये मुझे अंदर से बिलीव है। तो सर को ऐसा बिलीव था, इसलिए वो ज़्यादा खुश भी थे क्योंकि उनको भरोसा था मेरे ऊपर कि मैं अच्छा करूँगा। और 2 इनिंग्स, फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में उतना स्टार्ट मिलने के बाद मैं अच्छा कर नहीं पाया, सेकेंड इनिंग्स में भी जल्दी आउट हो गया। बट सर ने बोला वेट करो, पेशेंस रखो, जो तुम्हारा नेचुरल गेम है वो जाके खेलो तो रिजल्ट ज़रूर मिलेगा। तो आज हुआ तो सर काफ़ी खुश थे।
Boss baby, there's still that innocence on his face. Just an answer that came straight from the heart. We were very lucky to...
What I'd also... No, I'd just like to say, and obviously it's a nice thing for him to say, but, I honestly, you can't really, it'd be wrong of me to just take credit for him. I think firstly, the biggest credit goes to him, as a young man and as a young kid to do what he did. He deserves all the credit. And then, I think he's come through a system, right? I think, he's played at Bihar, and his father, I think, has been quite influential in supporting him and helping him. He's been at the NCA camps. The kid is, even here at Rajasthan, there's so many people involved, Vikram and Zubin and, Sairaj and Bondi and, other coaches and people who've really supported and helped him. So, I think it will be, I know, unfortunately or fortunately, anytime a kid who does well in this environment will always be asked the Rahul Dravid question, and he has to give a diplomatic answer. But I would like to certainly say that, of course, we are all happy to be part of his journey, but I recognize that there are so many people who have helped him where he's become, and he's going to need that support, honestly, in the future as well. This is, by no stretch of the imagination, a finished product, and there's a long way to go, hopefully.
Very kind of you to say that, Rahul. I was expecting that, but thank you so much. I will now open the floor to our friends from the media to ask questions. The first one is coming from Bharat Sharma.
Yeah, can you hear me now also?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so firstly, I hope you are recovering fine from your injury. I wanted to ask about Sanju's injury status, and also one question on Sooryavanshi, that how does one protect him now, because he'll be under constant glare. So how important it is to protect him from all of that? These two questions, please. Thank you.
So I'll answer both your questions. Firstly, thank you very much. The leg is getting better. Still a few more weeks in the boot, so hopefully should be out of that soon. Second question, Sanju is recovering well, but we'll just have to take it day by day. It's a side strain, and sometimes these side strains can be a bit tricky, and we don't want to do anything that will harm him in the long run. So we're monitoring it on a daily basis, and we'll see how it pulls up. Every day we get reports saying whether he's available or not. So we will take it day by day and see how he goes. But he's being really well looked after. In terms of how do you protect someone like Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, well, I think it's. I don't think there's any. I don't think we're going to be able to completely, sort of avoid him from experiencing all that's happening around him. I think a lot of that is going to happen around him is probably beyond his or our control, right? I cannot control how much people are going to talk about him or what people are going to say about him, or neither can he control what you people in the media or the media is going to write about him. Or you can look at the 4 questions that have been asked, right? I had no control of these questions. So I don't think we're going to be able to actually control everything. It's, I think, just recognizing that this can happen. This is what happens, and putting a certain level of support around that, and supporting him and helping him to navigate all of this attention, and still allowing him that space to be a youngster is going to be important. But I think that's part of being a cricketer, I think, in this country, that, how do you learn to deal with this? Because it's impossible to completely distance yourself from it 100%, but neither do you want to get sucked into it completely as well. So finding that happy medium is probably the answer in this situation. And I think a lot of you can play that role as well. I think a lot of you in the media and can be really responsible about how you write about not only his success, but also his potential failures, right? I think, let's be realistic, in a game of cricket where you fail a lot, he's going to go through some ups and downs as well. So I think everyone can be recognizing that fact, that he's going to have some success, he's going to have some failure, and we are all going to have to be mindful of that he's a young man finding his way as well.
Thank you, Rahul. Absolutely, responsibility lies with all of us. A bit of compassion, reporting on a 14-year-old who's just getting started. Next question coming in from Shashank from ESPN Cricket Info.
Hi, Rahul. Now that there have been so many questions on Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, I thought I'll ask you on the team composition. As you look back on the season, there's still 4 games left, but has there been a reflection of, where you're at in terms of the results you've had, a lot of close results not going your way? Did you, or have you felt as a team management that you may have perhaps been one overseas batter short in the middle order?
To be honest, no. I think we picked a lot of and retained a lot of our young, exciting Indian talent that we had, and it is pretty good talent. I think if you think about Sanju, Riyan, Dhruv, and Jaiswal, in that we've got some really good young Indian talent. So obviously, if you had retained that kind of Indian talent, you would have had to compromise somewhere, and the compromise we were willing to make was in terms of the overseas talent. It is a league which is governed by the rules of an auction. Now, and we retained someone like a Shimron Hetmeyer in a finishing role, because a lot of our Indian batsmen that we had retained were more sort of top order, top 5, so to speak. So we retained the one overseas death overs finisher that we had. So I don't think in our combination we could have played 2 overseas batsmen in any case. So I think our combination was suited around having 1 overseas batsman and then 3 overseas bowlers, which is what we've been able to play and do most times. Where we probably missed out is, like you rightly said, there have been some close games where we've got the required target down to 9 runs required in, say, 3 overs, needing 25 of 18, 27 of 18, 2 over 17 required in Bangalore. So we've got the target down to what you would think is very achievable targets with wickets in hand in the IPL. And even in those chases, it's not like we've had to chase these targets with, some of our lower order batsmen. Most of the finishers have been there at that position. So we've been in those positions. We've got ourselves really into good positions with 2 or 3 overs to go. We haven't been able to finish it off. Part of that has been because of the skill of the opposition bowlers. I think, Stark and Avesh, I think, bowled 2 really quality overs at us. And then a little bit of luck here and there, and maybe we haven't executed as well. So it's been those small margins and small things that have probably gone against us. But that is the nature of the tournament. I'm not using that as an excuse or using that to brush it under the carpet. I think you have to recognize that in a tournament like this, you need to win those small moments, and you need the breaks to go your way as well. So I think that has really been it for us. In terms of the combination, like I said, I think the way we were set up, we were always set up to play only one overseas batsman.
Thanks, Rahul bhai. I'm going to move to Vivek Krishnan, who's joining us from The Hindu. Vivek?
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me, Rahul sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. My question was on Vaibhav again. So you've seen obviously so many young cricketers over the years, both as a player and coach. Like before Vaibhav, had you ever seen or did you ever think that someone this young could strike the ball as far as he does? And like, what is it in his setup and technique that helps him do so? And also, like with the likes of Vaibhav and even Ayush Matre for CSK, do you like see a situation with already scouting networks being strong where a lot of franchises might look for younger and younger talent going down the line?
I think one of the things whether I've seen talented youngsters in my time, yes, I have. I've seen Rishabh Pant as a 17-year-old. I've seen Shubman Gill. I've seen Riyan Parag. I've seen Yashasvi Jaiswal. Seen Prithvi Shaw. I've seen a lot of young kids. I've seen Kamlesh Nagarkoti and Shivam Mavi and a young Khalil Ahmad. So having been in the system, I've seen some really exciting young talents. So to answer your question, yes, I've seen a lot of talented young kids. And I've also seen that some of the journeys go really well. Some of them, maybe take a little bit longer. And that's fine. It can take a little bit longer for some of the kids. What gives him that power? I think he's got a really good bat speed. Obviously got a really high backlift, as pretty obvious. Really good sort of hand-eye coordination in terms of judgment of length. That's something that's really amazed me. I think what you look for in a good young batsman is how quick is he to judge length. And I think that's one thing you notice with Vaibhav, that he's very quick to pick up on anything that is fractionally short, or if it's really full, he's really good to capitalize on that. So I think a combination of that high backlift and that ability to pick up length gives him, I think, that power. And of course, he seems to have a natural strength, which is really helpful in these situations. Of course, I think teams are... there's a balance. I think it's not that every under-19 kid or good young kid gets picked by franchises. So I think the franchises also look at experienced players, and you look at, some names, including, say, for us in our setup, someone like a Shubham Dubey, who's probably come to limelight a little bit later on than as a youngster. But even, say, a Shashank Singh or an Ashutosh Sharma and some of the other franchises who have been picked at a slightly later date. So I don't think as a franchise you just look at young talent, you look at talent that fits and that can perform at this level. So to be honest, Vaibhav wasn't just picked because he was young, but Vaibhav was picked because we felt with a little bit of work he could actually do well in this tournament.
Rahul, I just had a question. Since you were talking about balance, we all know how data-driven and analytics-heavy, especially the shortest format of the game, is getting. So how do you keep that balance of all these inputs that you get from the teams in your coaching decisions, in your strategies, while also incorporating the element of human brilliance or street smartness that there is in cricket? So how do you bring about that balance?
Well, it's actually quite easy, in a sense that, yes, there is a lot of information and data, but, so I like to give the thing that at least in our setup, or the way I like to function, is that we're data informed. You're not necessarily data driven. You don't just, you don't make every decision based on data. Data can only inform you up to a certain point. And then you use that information to make those decisions. And at times you might go with what the data is telling you, but at times you might choose not to do that, right? You might take other decisions. You might take decisions based on what you see, or you may feel that the data is only giving you half the picture because of, a variety of situations. And especially in a game like cricket, where the variables are so many and can change from year to year. Sometimes, the data gives you a good information, but but you also, like you rightly said, you also have to give room for just the knowledge, cricketing knowledge in the group. And sometimes, a lot of times what I've seen is actually we think it is this or that, but honestly, data sometimes just reinforces what anyway the coaches or the the captain was feeling. Data will just actually reinforce a lot of that. And there might be the odd times where they might be different and they might disagree, and then you have to make a decision that whether you're deciding to go with what data is telling you or whether you go with what you feel on the gut and the captain feels like doing. So I think it just, I think there's no either or. It is just you use the data as best as you can, and you don't let it become a master, and you kind of just, use it to enhance your decision-making capabilities.
Fab, Rahul bhai. I'll tell you the data that we'll have our eyes on and we'll be very focused on is the number of sixes that are hit tomorrow. Because, it's a wonderful initiative that is being taken by Rajasthan Royals and the Rajasthan Royals Foundation. Tomorrow's game is going to be known as the Pink Promise Match. This is a promise that the foundation has made to light up homes in the Sambhar region of Rajasthan. And for every six that will be hit tomorrow in the game against Mumbai Indians, 6 homes will be lit up with solar energy. It's something that was done in 2024 as well, and it's an initiative that is back in this calendar year. And also 100 rupees from every match ticket sold will be given and used in women-led rural development programs. And the new jersey that the teams are going to be playing in tomorrow, all the proceeds from the Pink Promise jersey will also be going into social development programs. So just in advance, congratulations and all our best wishes with the teams that put forward these activities to have a much larger impact. And tomorrow's game is not just going to be about cricket. I'm going to head towards our next question, which is coming from Vishesh Roy.
Hi Rahul, sir. I just wanted to ask you about Vaibhav only. How much impact do you think Yashasvi has had on him? Because looking from afar, it seems that both of them gel really well.
Yeah, I think he's been very welcomed in this environment. I think one of the things we've tried to do is to just make him feel like he's integrated well into this environment. So even after the auction, in fact, we had quite a few, 3 or 4 camps for short duration camps nearly every month leading into this tournament. And Vaibhav was there in every one of those camps, getting to know the players, getting to know the support staff, getting to know the coaches. So he's I think we were very conscious of the fact that we wanted him to feel comfortable. By the time he came to the IPL, we wanted him to know and have met nearly each and every one of the players. Of course, maybe not the foreign players because he was meeting them for the first time, but certainly all the Indian players he had met, he had known, he had met all the coaches, he had met all the admin support staff, everyone. So I think around the system, we're very clear that we wanted him to feel comfortable by the time he came here. And I'm sure he's having conversations and he's learning from each and every one of those guys, whether it's a Jaiswal or whether it's a Parag or whether it's a Jurel or, a Sanju or, I see he's built up good connections and friendships with even some of the other guys who have played a lot of domestic cricket, whether it's a Sandeep Sharma or whether it's a, some of the internationals, Fazal Farooqi. So I think he's he's a shy boy and obviously he'll take some time to open up, but I think he's very comfortable here. At no stage do you feel he feels like he's intimidated or he's holding back, and so I think there's been a bit of an effort gone into trying to ensure that we make him feel comfortable around the group.
Neeruji, sorry to keep you waiting. You can go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Hi, Rahul.
Hi, Neeru.
I'm back. So, my
Good to see you.
Also in a way that, what I know he's very young, but what kind of conversations as a coach do you have with him? He sheds light on that. And also the role that Yashasvi played the other day as a senior player, talking to him when he was going gung-ho. Could you just talk about a little bit of that also?
Yeah, Neeru, I couldn't hear you properly, but I get the gist of, I think, what you were trying to say. I think in terms of what conversations we've been having with him, actually, we've been trying to keep it very simple with him. I think he's at an age, like I think I answered this earlier. I think for us, really what is important that we recognize what is the kind of cricket that he enjoys playing. What does he want to play? How does he want to play his cricket? And then supporting him around that, right? And encouraging him to play that form of cricket and recognizing that, with that may come a little bit of failure, and with that he might not succeed every single time. But at this stage, not really confusing him with too many things, but just trying to allowing him to keep it simple and really have some fun and enjoy his cricket. It's pretty obvious he likes to play an attacking, positive brand of cricket. And I think there's no secret that that's exactly what we've encouraged him to do and set it up in such a way that he can play that form of cricket without actually worrying about it too much. I think Jaiswal played a fantastic innings the other day. I mean, it's incredible to the kind of innings he played, and for it to get overshadowed, was quite amazing. But I think Jaiswal's been doing really well. I think for us, right at the top of the order, I think his consistency through this tournament has been actually quite phenomenal. I think he's in some ways, even at 22, 23, Jaiswal is having to take on a role of being a little bit of a senior player, which is not a bad thing for him, right? Because it's also great for him to be able to learn and to realize that there's someone younger than him and to maybe look back on his own journey that he started with the Royals, which is at 5-6 years ago, and how other people supported him and helped him. And I think it's his opportunity now, I think, to be able to, when he's batting with the young man, to guide him and help him and support him along the way.
Right, thank
Thanks
you.
for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neeru. Heading to Niharika Raina.
Good evening, Rahul sir.
Good evening.
My question to you is regarding the playoffs. Like Rajasthan Royals, they upstaged Gujarat Titans on Monday. Yesterday, we saw the Kolkata Knight Riders beating the Delhi Capitals. So from a coaching perspective, how much confidence does it give to you in terms of the fact that lower ranked teams have been getting the better of the higher ranked sides in the race to the playoffs? And in addition to this, I want to ask you about Sooryavanshi, like how sensitively and professionally he needs to be managed by the Indian cricket ecosystem for the next few years so that his upward trajectory is maintained.
Okay, I think in terms of the thing, I think we recognize that we are, by losing a few close games, we are a bit lower down in the table. So we are really focusing on taking it just one game at a time, not looking too far ahead. I do believe this is a tournament that the teams are really close, irrespective of where they are in the points table. You will see that even teams that are lower down at 7th, 8th, 9th can easily beat some of the top 2 or 3 teams. I think the margins have been really small. The teams are really tight. And it's just one of those things. If the rub of the green goes your way, you can have a bit of a run, and if it doesn't, you can slide back very quickly. So it's sometimes you can over-analyze and overthink this too much, but it is a tight tournament, I completely recognize that we are with 6 points, we are pretty far down the table, and we'll just have to take it one game at a time. We know we have to try and win every single game, but it starts by trying to win the next one. Right, and not worrying about what else happens on the table. So that's where we stand. What can we do for Vaibhav? I think it's going to be challenging, right? Just from this very interview, I've come to this interview and every single question I've been asked has been about Vaibhav, right? So, it's exactly the thought that it's going on in the top of my head, that this is going to be challenging for him and for the kid. It's going to be challenging, but it's also exciting. I think it's going to be exciting as well as it's going to be challenging. And I think, again, I would love to say that, maybe we should not shower him with that much attention and that much focus. But maybe I'm being naive and maybe I'm not being realistic, because maybe that is going to happen. So like I answered earlier, maybe it's just a question of putting a bit of a support system around him and trying to help him navigate that as best as he possibly can, because as I can see with this press room, all I've heard is questions only about Vaibhav, right? And so, what do you do? I can't ask you not to ask him questions about it, right?
I will do that, Rahul bhai. I will do that, because I think we've answered almost everything that is to touch about him, and there are many more questions that are there. While we're all very excited because it's something that we haven't really seen at least as viewers, but we will let that topic just be for now, and we will focus on some of the other things. And I'd request everyone who's now going to get a chance to quickly ask some questions, please refrain from asking thoughts on Vaibhav Sooryavanshi. We've touched upon a lot of different facets of that. Shubhadatta Bose from the Quint is now coming into the question.
Yeah, thanks, Jitin. Rahul sir, firstly, it's wonderful to know that your recovery is going well. This question is not about any youngster, any young player per se, but about the grand scheme of things. So one look at the Rajasthan Royals team, and it's pretty evident that, you have a long-term project going on at Rajasthan Royals. But at the same time, fans can be impatient. It's also very natural. In such a scenario, how difficult or how challenging is it to strike that chord of balance where you don't lose sight of the long-term vision, but you also deliver instantaneous success as well?
Yeah, so look, I mean, even while we have an eye on the long term and we are looking at the long term, we were also not I'm not saying that I still believe that we had the team to win, or we have the team to win even this year. Results haven't gone our way. It's not that we are only focusing on the long term. Yes, you also have to keep one eye on the long term, and you have to recognize that some of the Indian players that we have retained, or we had the opportunity to retain, are slightly more younger Indian players. But we believe that they were good enough to actually do well and actually win the tournament this year as well. So I wouldn't use the excuse of thinking about the long term as a reason for us not being so high in the table this year. So we went into this tournament with every confidence that we could perform this year as well. And to a large part, I think we have. And like I said, there have been some key moments which we haven't. We win 2 out of those 3 games which we should have won, and this table is looking very different, right? We are sitting on 10 points, and right in the mix of things. So it's that small, these margins, unfortunately. But that's how it is, and I can't. And there's no other way. This is how the tournament works. So no, I mean, of course, we look after, and we want to look after. So the way decisions we took meant that we are looking at some of our players who have been with the franchise for a long time, and we want to continue to be a part of their journeys for a while. But it also meant that we were also very clear that we believe that we could perform and do well this year as well.
Thank you, Rahul bhai. One final question from the media that will come from Mandakini.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So my question is, as someone renowned for nurturing young talent, how do you guide a young player like Dhruv Jurel through a phase where his performances, despite decent stats, haven't made the desired impact this season? Especially, what strategies do you employ to help him regain form and confidence?
Yeah, I think with someone like Dhruv, we've got to be very careful. And this is where I find, sometimes the way we judge performance in T20 as good or bad, right? We only look at numbers, and anyone who has done well in the orange cap or the what cap is that? I don't pay attention to those caps. But anyway, that orange cap or purple cap or something. And we say they are the ones who have performed. But who are those guys, right? You can only be an opener or a number 3 who can have those kind of numbers or those kind of stats in an IPL. The performance metrics for someone who's batting at number 5 like Jurel has to be very different. And if you even look at that, I mean, by any standard, even this season, yes, maybe, there have been 1 or 2 close games in which, he would have liked to have won those games. But to be honest, his performance has been really good. I think we just be very careful how we judge people based on where they play. Because in T20 cricket, if you're only getting 10 balls to play, 15 balls to play, how do you compare that to someone who starts the innings and gets to play 60 balls, right? You will never, it's never a like for like comparison. And I think we need to be careful around that. So, judging that Dhruv Jurel is not having a good season, I think would be wrong in my assessment. I think he's played some terrific knocks and some crucial knocks I can remember, because a good knock for him might be actually just hitting 2 sixes in a particular game. Or the way he took down Bhuvi in the last game, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar is one of the great T20 bowlers of the IPL and of the world, really. And look at his body of work, and for Jurel to be able to do that against him. Yeah, he was unfortunate that, he got an inner edge onto the ball next over and couldn't finish the game off. But that doesn't take away from the fact that till then his performances have been really good. So again, there are a lot of batsmen who bat in those positions at 5, 6 and 7. And we have to be a bit careful how we judge their performances and what we see as the right metrics of performances are. It's like bowlers who bowl in the power play in the death. You can't use their economy rates as to be the same as people who get to bowl overs through 7 and 15, right? So I think we just need to be careful around what we see as good performances and how do we judge these performances being good or bad.
Thank you, Rahul bhai. These are some great insights for, in fact, all of us, the way we approach a T20 game and not just look at scorecards. One final question before we let you go. You're obviously up against a team that's in the ascendancy. They won 5 on the bounce. Just to make sure that personally players too have sort of moved on from, those 2 or 3 very close games. Is there anything else after the last game that Rajasthan Royals or you probably would be thinking in terms of messaging? How just now to build on from the last win that you got in an astounding manner as you take on Mumbai Indians?
I think one of the things we've been really good at, and I think we've tried to really achieve in this group, is to not get too carried away, whether we win or whether we lose. We've had some ups and downs, but what I've been really proud of this group is that they've really still, and it's quite a young group, but they've really, not lost hope. We've trained really hard, we've practiced really hard. All our preparation has been sort of spot on, irrespective of whether the results have gone our way or they haven't gone our way. Even when things have gone our way, I don't think people have got overly excited. And I know everyone is getting excited about the last game and especially about Vaibhav, but I think there's been quite a calmness in our group. Of course, we recognize it's a good performance, but I mean, internally in the group, we've actually tried to be very calm about it and not, talk about it too much or not try and focus on it too much at all, and I think that's something that will continue to happen. We recognize it's a really good opportunity again for us to play against the Mumbai Indians who are playing really good cricket. And it's exciting. It's exciting for our young team to come up against some of the talents that Mumbai has and hopefully, they'll be able to put up a good show.
Rahul bhai, thank you so much. We know that you got to run to a meeting. Thank you for taking time out and joining us here on the press room. We're all going to go back very rich in the way we look at T20 cricket.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jatin. Thanks for your support. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Rahul bhai. Big thank you to all our friends who joined us from the media. Sorry to all of those whose questions we could not take on this show, but there's always going to be more opportunity as we continue to bring you Star Sports Press Room through the Tata IPL. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.